Buck Rogers' Countdown to Doomsday. Now, I mean, this was at a time where Sega Genesis role-playing games, to me, were like... there was something so wild about them. It almost seemed like they were very, how do you say, unpolished. And you would get these instruction manuals that were like, you know what? It's so hard to find Sega Genesis role-playing games nowadays, especially in the box, especially with the instruction manual. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but games like Rings of Power, Starflight, they didn't have an instruction manual that was like this. Maybe just a little bit thinner than that, but still, a very, very involved instruction manual. And now Buck Rogers' Countdown to Doomsday was a role-playing game like... you know, it took place in space, and you had all these different character classes that all depended on their own dice roll. I mean, it took you forever to develop your character, because you kept on dice rolling and dice rolling because you wanted to get the absolute, you know, best numbers possible. And it had that quintessential Sega Genesis music. I mean, you know, Buck Rogers, if somebody was to say to me, you know, what is the music? You know, an alien came from another planet and said, what, the music for the Sega Genesis, what did it sound like? I'd show him Buck Rogers. And it was just a cool role-playing game that took place in outer space, and I mean, it had this vastness about it. And it just seemed like, you know, this entire universe was right at your fingertips. And I never beat the game. I remember me and my buddy Phil renting the game over and over again, but never beat the game. I owned it at one time and tried to play through it, and it's just like, it's one of those games where you gotta just like devote your life to it. And there was all sorts of cool weapons in it, and you'd see you guys fight on a battlefield, and they'd you know, throw grenades at each other, and they'd shoot each other with lasers. So I mean, Buck Rogers' Countdown to Doomsday, a really, really cool game for the Sega Genesis. Very cool. I almost hate talking about games like this because the game is so damn good, and I just feel like so dumb talking about it because I don't know if I can describe it the way I actually want to. Starflight. Okay, Starflight is such a gem of a game. I mean, an absolute gem of a game. Here's a game that takes place in outer space, and you have a main ship, almost like picture like the Starship Enterprise. Okay, and they start you off at a base, and you're docked. And basically, what you want to do is you want to be able to upgrade your ship. You can upgrade the weapons, you can upgrade the shields, you can upgrade the engines, and you also have a little mining car, or like a mining tractor, which you can upgrade. You can upgrade your main ship to have more storage capacities for when you go mining on other planets. You could upgrade your little mining car. You could put pontoons on it so it can go over water or liquids. You could upgrade its capacity, and it had a little weapon to protect itself on alien planets. But anyway, you would fly this main starship to other planets in the solar system, and you would lower down your little mining car, and you would travel around the planet mining minerals. And you'd have sensors that would show you where there were bigger patches of minerals and whatnot, and you'd just go around and you'd hit a little mining car digging. Tink, 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 tink. Digging you dig for gold, lead, uranium, whatever, alien elements and whatnot. And you'd basically fill your cargo bays, and you'd bring them back to the base, and you'd sell off all your minerals and whatnot, and you'd buy fuel, so you could travel outside the solar system into the universe. So, I mean, as vast as a solar system was, say like our solar system with 8 planets, and you go to each individual planet and do mining and stuff like that, you could go into this universe, which was vast beyond almost beyond what your mind could conceive for 1992 or whenever it came out, for a 16-bit system. And you travel through the universe, and you might meet up with alien races, and you might have to be diplomatic with them, you might have to battle with them, you might have to negotiate with them. And I mean, here was a game that was larger than anything you could have imagined at the time. And it just seemed like there was no end to the game. I beat Starflight, I'm very proud of that. But I mean, some of the things that stand out, I mean, you would get into a planet's orbit and it would kind of grab you and you would go around. And then you'd have to use your sensors and your scanners to measure the gravity of the planet, so that when you lowered down your mining ship, if the gravity was real powerful and you didn't hit the thrusters right, it was almost like playing Moonlander in the arcade, when you had to land a little moon ship, and depending on the gravity, it would pull you down more, and you'd have to use more thrusters, or your cart would just smash into the ground and it would be destroyed, and you'd have to buy a new one. I mean, there's little details like that. Not to mention, I know I talk a lot about this, but the great, the great and horrible Sega Genesis music, but it's great. We all know it's great. This is a standout game that's just, it's almost too much fun to play. And it was done so smart, it was done so well, that, it'll give you great enjoyment. And Starflight's a hard game to come by. I haven't seen it since I owned it many, many years ago, back in the 90s. I haven't seen it since. So if you're lucky enough to own Starflight, play it all the way through, because it's great fun to play all the way through. And if you haven't come across it, try to get it. Starflight.
Entering solar system. Shields raised.
The Technosoft masterpiece, Herzog Zwei. And now this is a Command and Conquer-esque type of game. And you know what? I have a hard time comparing this game to any game. But it's a very hard game to try to describe. So if I'm going to give you any idea of what it's like, I'd have to say it's like Command and Conquer. But I gotta tell you something. This game is one of the greatest Sega Genesis games ever made. And I hate to think that people don't know about this game. And where this game shines is in two-player mode. And basically what happens is you're a jet fighter that can transform into a robot and fight in real-time strategy. And you have a base, and your opponent has the base, and it just so happens to be that my very good friend VS, what used to be my opponent, you each have a base that you have to protect in a split-screen mode. And I tell you what, you can play this game and the hours just melt away. And you know, you can control this jet fighter, tanks, missile launchers, you know, and you basically try to fortify and protect your base. You can be more defensive, or you can be more aggressive and attack your opponent's base. And games can take, you know, can go very quickly, or they can take, you know, hours depending on the strategy you choose and how you decide to play. But if you play this game two players, I mean, it's just endless fun. And the game has great music. The graphics are done very nicely. I mean, this is just an excellent game for the Sega Genesis, and I cannot recommend it high enough. And it killed me. It killed me when I did my sell-off recently, where I sold off all my stuff. It killed me. I had a beautiful box copy of Herzog Zwei with a crisp instruction manual. The box was in mint. It was just a mint condition copy, and it just killed me to see it go. So, not an easy game to come across, but if you do come across it, grab it. You won't be disappointed. Boy, oh boy, I had to get something to eat. This is a long show, guys. I hope you guys appreciate how much effort went into this show. This is an important one. The Sega Genesis, listen, when it comes to 16-bit systems, I don't mess around. This is important. I just went to Boston Market. You guys I don't know if you guys got Boston Market out there. Oh my God. I bring like my own scalpel there. Because when I eat a half a rotisserie chicken, and I just dissect it. It's like a surgeon got done with it by the time I'm finished. I tell you what, the end of the world, it won't be because of the nuclear bomb. It won't be because of plague. It wouldn't be because of famine and starvation. It's going to be because of the rotisserie chicken. Everybody's just going to get fat and die, and you'll see in the history books what happened to mankind. The rotisserie chicken destroyed mankind. So anyway, enough bullshit here. Let's get to our next game, and that game is Shadowrun. Now, Shadowrun was a game that I could remember playing, you know, at the time I was going to a local community college, and I could just remember this was towards the end of the of the Sega Genesis was run, and I would just pound one screwdriver after another and play Shadowrun all night long. All night long. And I tell you what, the hours that I put into that game, I can't even dream it. I can't even dream of how many hours I put into that game. But I can tell you this, I didn't follow the storyline, and I don't even know what that game was about. And it's not because I was so drunk while I was playing it. It's because this game gave you the ability to travel from town to town via taxi cab in this futuristic type of like city. And you could go into the local bar and get a job, almost like you're almost like you're working for the mafia or whatnot. You'd get a job, and then you could go throughout the town and complete the job to get money, and you could buy items and weapons and whatnot. And I mean, you want to talk about grinding. This was like, I won't say this was the game that made me say, wow, this is what video games are supposed to be. I think Vice City did that for me on the PlayStation. When Vice City came out, I mean, to me, I was like, this is it. This is what it's supposed to be. But Shadowrun had those elements. You would go into a certain town, and you'd go into the local bar there, and you'd get a job to do, and you'd go out, and whether it was maybe escorting a gang member from one side of the town to the other, or maybe you had to go into an abandoned building and like take out some zombies or something like that, and you'd build up credits, and you'd go and you'd upgrade. And I tell you what, when that town got dry, or maybe you didn't get enough money, or it was starting to get a little too easy there, you'd hop in a taxi cab and you'd go to the next town for a different set of adventures. And it got to the point where, you'd get so powerful, then you'd go into corporations and you'd start bombing things, and what a great game. It had this like real. In that type of game, I never follow the storyline. Like, oh, okay, there's a storyline. Yeah, we'll get to that one day. It was all about free roaming, and just having fun and grinding. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was just sitting there grinding and grinding away at the game. And today, I'm not such a big fan of grinding, because I understand that it doesn't really pay to grind so much. But back then, I was all about grinding, just grinding and grinding. And I tell you what a great game to throw away your youth on. I mean, for a misguided youth like myself, I mean, that was just pure pleasure. So, another element to that game was your ability to hack into like a computer system. And what would happen is you'd buy like this keyboard or something like that, so you could hack into like almost like Terminator 2, where the young balls, what's his name? When he hacked into the ATM machine with the Atari Lynx, it was almost like the keyboard. He was hacking into the mainframe. And you would hack into computers, and the game would transform into this like role playing. It transformed into almost like a turn-based role playing game, which was another real neat element. Which, by the way, I never learned how to do properly. I never beat this game. To be quite honest with you, I still to this day I don't know how the game works. I never had the instruction manual for it. So I never understood how to do the hacking part into the computers. I could never figure it out. I would try and try. I'd say, oh, this is neat. What, how do you do this? And I would sit there and try it. I never got it. So, Shadowrun. Very, very cool game. Just a side note on, and if you're watching this, you made it to the end of the video. But just a side note on Sega Genesis music. I tell you what, it's like getting waterboarded or being tortured. I think that Sega Genesis music, I mean, because if you played a game like Rings of Power, the music was like continuous throughout the game. And it must be, I mean, if you play that game, for 40, 50 hours, the music from that game it must be embedded in your subconscious mind. Because I know when I watch videos of it today, when you hear that music, it's like seeing an old friend or getting onto a bicycle. It's just like it's extracted from your subconscious mind, and it's something that's so familiar and it's so nostalgic. I think that's where we get a lot of our nostalgia from retro video games, because we were pounded in the brain with this music. And the Genesis music was just so abrasive, especially the electronic arts music, that it's almost like we've been, it's almost like Chinese water torture. It's been so thoroughly embedded and ingrained into, our subconscious minds that, you'll never get rid of that. I don't care. I could sneak up on you and play like, oh God, what were some of the tough electronic arts titles that had rough music? I mean, like Rings of Power, Starflight, all the electronic arts, Fairy Tale. Oh my God! If you've ever played that game and put any effort into it all, because it'll take you the rest of your life to finish. That music, oh my God, that music! I could hear that music when I'm 90 years old with Alzheimer's disease and recognize it immediately. But anyway, this was a tough one. This was a tough video to make, man. I tell you what, it's like running a marathon. But I'm Bithead 1000, and you just tuned into the greatest video game program in the history of human civilization. And I'll see you next time.